Oh, no kidding. Hey, welcome to the Glen Gauer podcast, the best podcast you'll listen to all day.
What, they made
What's the temperature? Mission
Right now?
Blueprint. Dude, I am so cold.
You are?
What's the temperature right now?
The temperature right now is -1. Feels like -1.
Oh, hey, what's the coldest you've ever experienced in South Dakota, Minnesota?
Honestly, North Dakota. With my wife, one of the first years we were dating, we went up for Christmas and the holiday. We drove up the interstate, and we drove separate because we were picking her sister up from the airport.
Yeah.
And her sister got delayed, so we dropped my car off at the What the heck is that city?
Grand Forks.
Grand Forks International Airport. And her sister drove my car back to the family ranch. And driving up the interstate, it was 54 degrees below zero without wind chill.
What was the wind chill?
Well, you're driving 80 miles an hour. It's really cold.
All right, so don't tell my mom this.
Okay.
Mom, you better not listen, but I drank alcohol when I was a high school student. One night we were, I think it might have been out of high school, but I think it was my last year. She said something like, be careful, it's cold outside. Oh, yeah, whatever. And I drove this Fury. Who made the Fury? Dodge Fury? Was it a Dodge?
I have no idea.
Somebody who made the Fury, but it was
a car like that.
It was a gold Fury 4-door, and something was wrong with the regulator, or something was stuck. It would just heat up right away. In cars in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, they didn't heat up right away. You had to drive it for a few minutes, and then finally you get a little bit of. This car would not warm up. I got almost all the way to town. And it was starting to finally warm up, so I thought, there's something wrong here. I got to get this thing fixed or take a look at. Well, anyway, we were drinking around, and I went outside just to do something quick, and all of a sudden I thought, I think I'm freezing right now. Could I be freezing? I might be freezing, and I was only out a couple minutes. So I thought, you know what? I'm going home, boys. And so I went home and got up the next day, and she said it was 60 below with a wind chill factor of 110 below.
That's cold.
And I said, I believe it, because I went outside just for a few minutes, and I was freezing.
Literally,
I was freezing. I thought, I think I'm freezing right now. I think I should go home. So I went home. I got home about 10:30 at night. Anyway, I want to get into... this world, man, is crazy.
Yes, it's made for TV drama.
Oh, there's going to be some drama today. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to share with you a potential scenario that gets even better. You know, I read some of the YouTube comments. You guys are so loving. Oh, so loving to us. I don't really care. Say whatever you want.
Right. It's a free platform.
It is a free
platform. Hopefully they aren't censoring on YouTube.
You know what? Say whatever you want. There's a couple of funny things. We're just talking about stuff. We're not saying this is going to happen. This isn't going to happen.
Scenarios, baby.
Scenarios. This could happen. You know, we both agree the Supreme Court probably won't even hear the case, or they'll rule against it. But again, it's going to the Supreme Court.
That's the unprecedented thing. It's going to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, they actually want to hear it, which is weird to me that they would.
Well, I don't even know if they want to hear it. They have to.
Well, there's chosen to hear something.
There's legal precedent for it.
So they're going to look at this. But before we get into that, I want to talk about Twitter.
Oh.
Are you on Twitter?
Are you tweeting? Are you tweeting right now? I can tweet.
I don't think I've ever tweeted.
Oh, I'm a tweeter.
I thought Twitter was the dumbest thing.
Really? It's just tweets. 160 characters, baby.
Oh, is that what you get?
Yeah.
I don't know. Twitter seems really silly. Why would anyone want to listen to me anyway? But I'm realizing it's a quick way to communicate.
It is. It's like saying hi.
Yeah. I mean, you can hear what Trump, Biden, any of the senators, but the Pope. I mean, anybody. No one's going to listen to me. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I could hear what the Holy Father wants to say in an instant. I'm like, that's kind of cool. So anyway, I don't like social media as a whole. I'm in it.
Which Holy Father? Because you have two of them now, right?
Don't even get into it. I'll get big trouble here. You know, we do have two popes.
That's what I heard.
Okay, we don't have two popes. Pope Francis is Pope.
Pope Francis is Pope.
But we call another guy Pope. It's bizarre. Nobody's talking about it. I'm not going to talk about it. I've been asked, what do you think about Pope Francis, Pope Benedict? Is Pope Francis really Pope? And the answer is, yeah, he's really Pope. And the only way we know that he isn't Pope is there has to be some kind of gathering of really important men in Rome that would say he's not Pope, but Pope Francis is the Pope. But we got two of them.
Unprecedented.
It's bizarre.
It's bizarre times.
I don't want to get into this, so I'm not going to. But ladies and
Stick
gentlemen,
around.
if you want me to talk about this, it's very, very, very interesting because we live in crazy, crazy times. Pope Emeritus Benedict. Huh? Makes no sense to me. Let's move on, though, from that before I get in trouble.
We're going to tweet.
Did I say that Pope Francis is Pope? Because I think he is.
Yes.
Some people don't think that, but I don't know. Pope Francis is. So Twitter, the Twitter files. The Twitter's a very interesting thing. Y'all know by now, ladies and gentlemen, that Elon Musk, the modern day Tesla. Wouldn't you say?
He is Tesla. Yes.
The guy's crazy. He's got a company called Neuralink where he's working on a chip that goes into your brain. I know the evangelical Christians are going to go crazy because it's like, this is the mark of the beast. He's the Antichrist, which I don't think he's the Antichrist, but I don't know. I don't think he is. But he's got a company like Neuralink. He's got a company like, what was it? SpaceX. And he's doing crazy things with rockets.
And he's doing crazy things with satellites to link up our entire world with Wi-Fi and internet.
I was in Minnesota, and we were at somebody's place, campfire, and we saw all those lights in the sky, and I started to sci-fi freak out, man. Like, what are all those lights?
Yeah, it's a perfect line. It's a perfect line.
Elon Musk is doing that.
Yeah. And this guy started the world the same way we did.
And
just
so
born.
He bought Tesla, and he made Tesla into a major car company. So he's got his hands in a lot of things, but he bought Twitter.
For the heck of it.
Yeah, he only paid like, $44 billion for it.
Billion with a B.
And so he buys this company, Twitter. And he fired half the staff. Did you know that?
Yeah. Yeah, he let them all go.
He fired half the staff, and somehow Twitter keeps running.
Right.
Weird.
Right.
You don't need all those people. Well, it's a big free speech question. Can you say whatever you want? Former President Trump was banned from Twitter, which Elon did a poll and said, should I reinstate Trump? I'll do whatever you say. And he reinstated Trump. Now, Trump has not tweeted yet. Some think he might tweet. Others think, well, he has said he's not going to tweet on Twitter anymore. He's done. He's got his own thing called Truth Social. Have you ever heard of Truth Social?
I have not.
It's much like Twitter. Okay. I've been on it. I am on it. I don't do much with Truth Social. But what's interesting here, ladies and gentlemen, is he hired a guy by the name of, I think his name is Matt Taibbi. Matt Taibbi is a journalist. And he's with Rolling Stone. Now, if you know anything about Rolling Stone, I don't know much, but Rolling Stone is not a bastion of conservatism.
Are you talking the magazine or the band?
Magazine?
Okay.
Oh, the band. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. Mick Jagger's in Rolling Stones, isn't he?
Right. That's what it's like. Where
he
we're going
hired
with this.
Mick Jagger to take a look at the Twitter files, ladies and gentlemen. Mick, what have you found out? Mick's smoking pot somewhere. Anyway, he hires this Matt guy, and Matt is, from what I've heard, is pretty progressive. You see, because if Elon Musk hires a conservative, then everyone's going to say, well, how do we know this is even true? This guy wants Trump back in office. He's going to say all these things. He doesn't. He hires a progressive. Now, I don't know anything about Matt, really don't. But I saw an interview with Matt, and very, very interesting. So he found out these things. And ladies and gentlemen, you need to look into this because what he's saying is so crazy, it could turn the world upside down. He's saying four things. There was a suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop in the 2020 election. And the question was, could that have changed the election? Of course. So Twitter suppressed the Hunter Biden story. Now, if you paid attention, ladies and gentlemen, the mainstream media did not report or say much about this laptop. They were silent. And some are speculating if Trump's boy, Trump Jr., Don Jr., would have had a laptop from hell, it would have been all over the news.
Of course.
Yes. The second thing he uncovered is Twitter has a secret blacklist. Okay?
I suppose we're on it.
I don't think I'm important. Seriously. You're more important than I am.
Not really.
You're a doctor.
Oh, yeah.
Dennis Willard.
Oh, yes.
The third thing they found is that they were trying to remove Trump. There was course of action to get Trump out of office, to get Biden elected. Twitter was involved in that. And it gets worse. Twitter has a relationship with 3-letter agencies. And they were meeting with Twitter regularly to suppress Trump's election, the 2020 election, the laptop. So the government is involved in suppressing these tweets.
Why?
Well, let me ask you. You worked in government. You were in the Pentagon. See, you're important.
I was in the Senate. I wasn't in the Pentagon.
You were in the Pentagon building.
Well, we were, yes.
So I'm saying I've never been in the Pentagon. I've been to D.C., but I didn't get a pass to the Pentagon.
Well, you got to get employed there.
Yeah.
Get a job.
Yeah, I'm sure they want me. Yeah, get the bald guy.
Well, they need good religious leadership out there.
So what do you think about this? 3-letter agencies, why are they working with Twitter?
Well, first, I would be the advocate that Twitter is a private corporation. Elon Musk can run it any way he wants. He can put on his little poster boards whatever he wants. And he can write the rules and regulations to be as conservative or as liberal as you want.
Yeah, but doesn't he have to? It has to fit inside this free speech box.
No, it's a private corporation. There's nothing out there that says that a corporation has to allow free speech. Free speech is granted by the Constitution, not by a corporation. So
interesting.
If he chooses to be more open and transparent, that's what everybody loved about the social platforms like Facebook initially. Was there was no advertising, there was no marketing. It was just a place to share and try to live your life virtually outside of just what you did in college. Because that's where it started for us. Or for me, I should say, is I was in chiropractic school and Facebook became a thing. And it was like, hey, I could connect with classmates and didn't have any barriers between connecting with them and sharing information, finding out who's going to be where, when, and what time. It was like the next evolution from using a telephone to get connected with people.
So why do you think they're involved?
So it makes sense that a private corporation having access to tremendous amounts of people's data would want to know if there were hate groups out there, if there were neo-Nazis, if there were Ku Klux Klan, putting together meeting dates and locations because, that's kind of their task, tobacco, firearms, alcohol. What is that? What's that organization? Alcohol, tobacco, firearms. ATF organization, FBI. I mean, why wouldn't they want access to Twitter files and to Twitter's user group?
Well, of course, but the question is privacy. I'm not private then.
No. Read the privacy terms. I'm sure it says that they can
reads the
right.
Did you read them?
No.
I'm on Twitter and
I just want to use it.
Yeah, I don't read. I mean, they put it in like 2 font and you can't read it.
Right. But if you're asking what I think of that, I think that's brilliant. It's brilliant for the government to be able to spy on people who are willing to just share their information.
What are you talking about?
If you get to use something for free, you are not paying for anything, which means you are probably the product, which means they are probably studying you. There's a great movie out there called The Social Dilemma. It's on Netflix.
I haven't seen it.
Oh my gosh. They talk about how the AI intelligence that they've built through these social platforms, I think it's Facebook, has like 2,500 different user points about you as a person. And the way the screen and the camera on the top of your phone and the top of your computer tracks your eyes of where you stop and look at products, details, the moments that you pause.
Okay, you're freaking me out now.
No, this is
Seriously.
this is legit. This is like already been out in the movies for like 3 years. That you're the product. They're tracking you. They're tracking your lifestyle. They talk about in their advertising that metaverse is a great place to have a good idea be found. And customized ads allow for that. Well, how the heck are they developing customized ads unless they've studied you and go, you know what? We heard in a podcast one time by Glen Gauer that he really wants to build a forge for his kids to, let them do a little blacksmithing in his new shop. And suddenly you see blacksmithing tools showing up in your Facebook ads.
Yeah, that was freaky.
But it's talked about. It's learned. It's AI. artificial intelligence that's learning about you.
We could get into an AI conversation because really the movie The Matrix is really about AI.
It is.
And how AI has took over the world, took over humans. And Elon Musk has actually talked about the dangers of AI. And he said, when they catch up to us, we won't be able to stop it.
Right. They will learn exponentially over what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there won't be any limitations. God put limitations in our ability to learn, whether that's from the fallout at the garden or whatever. But yes, computers can learn infinitely.
This is scary stuff.
Right. But I mean, this is we're going to talk about the relationship with FBI. We got to stay ahead of this. CIA, FBI, Central Intelligence Agency. Like, why wouldn't they want to have access to all of us?
Of course they'd want to, but there's no sense of privacy. The only way you can be private is to not enter into social media.
Right. And then if you have the directors of FBI and the CIA and all these 3-letter organizations, and they have to choose between candidate A and candidate B, and candidate A is absolutely against everything that they're doing to people and to the country and how they're running and operating and how they've done it the last 50 years, versus the person who's just the lame duck that's gonna follow along and do what's always been done. Why wouldn't they want to tilt the tables in their direction?
Well, I watched Ted Cruz talk to a Senate hearing committee years ago, not that long ago, and he was talking about how the way Google uses semantics, they have the ability to steer an election between 6 and 12 points just by the way they word things.
Of course. Of course. This is why they do social testing and focus groups. They test the words. Which one responds better? People respond to, would you rather pick this candidate, or which candidate would you prefer to have? I mean, just the words matter.
So what's bizarre is we're not really free. We are, but we're not really free because we're being, what's the word? We're being what?
Manipulated.
Manipulated. That's right.
That was the coolest thing I learned working in DC.
Okay, so Twitter. So Matt Taibbi, I'm sorry if I screw up that name, but he is saying that the FBI, the CIA, some of the 3-letter agencies are they're basically pointing or telling Twitter what to do.
Of course. Why wouldn't they want things tipped in their direction or in their favor? Why not?
And you don't see a problem with this.
Oh, of course I do. That's why I don't do it. That's why I don't do it. But I completely get why they do it. I get their side of it. I've been in the government. I get it.
So this is what they've been doing, right. And this is coming out, and it's kind of a drip like the WikiLeaks guy. What's his name? Julian Assange. It's kind of a drip.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? He's not talked about anymore.
Well, who's Julian?
Right.
What happened to him?
Right.
Is he still alive?
I don't know. He's probably at the bottom of the ocean somewhere.
I think he's in prison in England. Last time I checked.
Is it England? Okay.
I don't know, but anyway, ladies and gentlemen, take a look at these Twitter files. It's very interesting. I have not done a deep dive yet, but I've been watching. I watched a couple of videos. I started reading some of them. I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, love or hate Trump. He's right. Fix 2020. You got to fix 2020 because this is going to continue on.
Right. And
elections aren't free and fair. Go ahead.
The internet never goes away. So this goes both ways. This double-edged sword cuts both ways of if there's a trail there, it's not like you just go and you immediately delete it and it's gone.
Oh, you mean 20? Do you mean 2016, 2012, 2008?
I think all of it since Obama has been in the election systems and all of the, whether it's voting irregularities or if it's the manipulation of Twitter or Facebook or anything like that, somebody starts looking, they're going to find the truth.
Okay, this is way more drama than I was expecting, talking about Twitter, because Twitter's been around since, I don't know, how long?
Oh, that's a good question.
The iPhone came out in 2007, and I want to say Twitter was born shortly after that, but I might be wrong. Nevertheless, it's been out for a long time. Dennis is looking up on his phone.
We do March 21st, 2006.
Oh, so before the iPhone came out. Twitter's been around that long. So
because originally you could use it on your computer.
I didn't know that. Yeah. I'm really slow when it comes to social media. I think I don't want to say it. Anyway, final thoughts with Twitter. I mean, this could go way back. I mean, we can go back to 2006, but this is just one platform. I mean, who's got all the information? Really, who's got all the information?
The AI.
Well, yeah, but let's talk about who's got all the data. Really, Twitter's a small company. I mean, it's huge, but it's small. Facebook, Microsoft,
Yep.
Apple,
Samsung, probably.
Google.
Google has its own phone and platform now. Yeah.
What happens if the government gets involved with Twitter and they say, we see patterns here. Let's begin investigating Apple, Microsoft. Because, ladies and gentlemen, let's be honest. You either have an Apple product or you don't. Yeah, the other brand is Microsoft.
Yep.
And
It's either Apple or Microsoft.
And Microsoft, that operating system is basically all the other platforms are based off of it. So this could get crazy. Let's move on. Let's get to Trump here.
Okay, well, this Twitter thing leads right into Trump.
It does lead into Trump. So there was a January 6th committee. What
happened on January 6th? I forgot.
Something happened on January 6th, 2020. 20 or 21?
20.
You sure it wasn't 21?
No, it was... Well, it was 21. It was 21.
Yeah.
Because the 20 is when the thing happened.
Can you tell our viewers, our listeners, what happened on January 6th? Do you remember exactly what was going on?
There was something going on at the Capitol. I think something like the confirmation of the election results by the U.S. Congress.
You're right. They were confirming the elector votes.
Yep, the Electoral College.
Electoral College. Meanwhile, Trump had a speech.
In front of the White House.
Right.
That day.
What happened?
There was a group of people who were upset and protesting what was happening at the Capitol. And so they took back their Capitol.
What?
I mean, it's their building. They paid for it.
Yes, they did. They took back the Capitol. What did they exactly do? They broke into the Capitol.
Yeah, they went past barriers and they went into offices and they went on the floor of the U.S. Congress and breached a ton of protocol and a ton of what has become 200 years of tradition. But it's not like they overthrew the government or hurt anybody or had anything really awful happen. I mean, if you put it in the scales of comparison to how Chinese government suppresses their people and uses tanks and, runs down people at Tiananmen Square, go back to the 80s. This is a pretty minor little, hey, the people are upset.
So there was one death involved. Somebody got shot.
Yeah, I think one of the security people.
Yeah, it was a woman who got shot and died.
I think with her own gun.
Same day.
Yep.
Oh, she got shot with her own gun.
I think so. I think just...
This is like wild, wild west stuff.
It is.
Well, anyway, so this committee met and they took a look at what actually happened and is there blame. Who do you blame? Who's responsible?
Whose fault is it?
Yes, whose fault? And this committee is made up of Democrats or Republicans. Guess. Generally.
I'm suspecting that it is a joint committee.
Joint committee.
Which should be equal Democrats and equal Republicans.
With probably one vote given to the Democrats because they still have control of the party.
Correct. Or control the House.
So it's pretty 50-50.
Yeah, it should be.
And I don't know the actual vote. If you want to look at the vote for the January 6th committee, that would be very interesting.
Okay,
that's
keep
what
talking.
Dennis, ladies and gentlemen, that's what Dennis does when he's got his phone out. He's looking at stuff. Dennis is the Glen and Gauer podcast fact checker. He's the fact checker. Anyway, so they have a statement. The January 6th committee said this, and I quote, "We believe that the evidence assembled throughout our hearings warrants a criminal referral of former President Donald J. Trump, John Eastman, and others for violations of this statute or these statutes," unquote. So there's 4 charges. Number 1. Are you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Obstruction of a official proceeding. And of course, we know that is they were counting electors.
Yep.
Confirming
and
this.
He was having a rally.
Yeah.
Or a speech.
And Pence was there. He's the vice president. He
was sitting at the Senate. He was Senate pro tem, so he's president of the Senate during those officiatings.
And this was at the Senate, right?
Yep, that was at the Senate.
So there's an obstruction of that proceeding. 2, conspiracy to defraud the United States.
Okay.
What does that mean?
Fake news, telling a lie.
Okay.
That's the short of it.
Okay. 3, conspiracy to make a false statement. Well, that's interesting because it's kind of what you just said. 4, incite, aid, or assist insurrection.
There's the word.
There's the word.
There's the word.
Insurrection. What is an insurrection, Dennis?
Insurrection is, by definition, I have no idea. I'm assuming it's a step up from a riot or step down from
Takeover.
a riot. But a step up from a protest.
So, ladies and gentlemen, what the committee is saying is that Donald J. Trump, president, outgoing president, basically, I'll use the word ordered or incited people at his speech to go to the Capitol building and take over. Now, I was actually watching that speech. Were you watching that speech?
I don't remember. No.
Yes.
I don't know.
I remember listening to him saying something like, we can go over now. Let's do it peacefully, or go home, not to go over. But if you go peacefully, don't riot, just be there. And I saw that replayed on Rumble.
Okay.
And I'm like, did these panel members actually listen to that? And how did they weigh that into their evidence? I find that very, very interesting. Now, maybe Trump did other things that I'm unaware of. Fine. But he did say that publicly. Do it peacefully. So this is very bizarre.
I mean, this is where conspiracy theories abound because we don't know who was all there. Was it all just standard people? Was there infiltration of that group to escalate it? Was there other people there that took it to the next level, that knowing they were going to try to blame it on the president and the Republicans and the Conservative Party?
All right, let's just stay central. Let's just stay in the middle. All right, so we know that there's this January 6th committee. Did you find out what the vote was yet?
Yes. The establishment of the Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack in the United States Capitol passed the House floor by a vote of 222 to 190, with all the Democrat members and 2 Republicans voting in favor. Now, that's the creation of the committee. I haven't found where it says what the results were.
All right, maybe it doesn't really matter for this podcast, but okay. So this January 6th committee referred criminal references, the criminal referral to former President Trump. Who would do the arresting?
Most likely either military police or Department of Justice.
Okay, so the DOJ most likely will get this case and could act upon it.
Correct.
Could act upon it. Okay, so here's a scenario, ladies and gentlemen, that is possible. Again, we're just speculating. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm not saying Trump's going to be the president of the United States again. We're just talking about a potential scenario. And why do we talk about these potential scenarios? Why? Because it's been a crazy 2 years unless you've been sleeping under a rock. I mean, did you ever think that most people would be in their homes for all those months?
Did you ever think that your stock portfolio would drop by 50% in 12 months?
Well, Daktronics here they dropped 40% last week.
48%.
48%.
48% stock valuation drop.
Things, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, things are not.
3M, Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing, has made Post-it notes and Scotch tape for years and is in a world-class lawsuit and is going to break up their company to avoid going bankruptcy.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I mean, the world, you cannot make this stuff up. Anything is possible. Anything is possible.
Things are not as they seem at all. We're finding that out. I mean, just like how many people watch MSNBC anymore?
What's that?
Exactly. I mean, the mainstream media, people still watch it, but their numbers are way down, way down. And there's other avenues to find news, whether that's legitimate or not. I'm not even going to mention that.
But news is news. News is relative to what your belief stances are.
It should be objective, right?
It should be.
Yeah, but we know that it probably hasn't been.
But good investigating doesn't happen through trial and error.
I was talking to my brother about this, who thinks I might be a little off kilter, but I said, listen, when CBS reports in 2020 that there's an outbreak of COVID in Italy, and they show this video, and then weeks later, I don't remember how many weeks later, they report the same thing going on in New York, and they use the exact same video. And then they repent. And they use the video again weeks later.
Right. It's not really news.
No.
But remember Dan?
Wake up, people.
Remember Dan Rather?
Oh, I remember Dan Rather.
When they started talking about them carrying missiles on donkeys' backs to fight, I don't know if it's Al Qaeda or whatever it was back in the day, but he got on a plane and he flew there and he reported from the desert. Like, I'm here. I'm telling you, this is the truth. This is what's happening. I'm not taking it secondhand fiddle. I'm telling you the truth. That's where we learned Walter Cronkite, Dan Rather. That's where we learned to love the news.
Boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground. Good investigating.
You gotta be there. And that's why I talk about a lot of these different things that have happened in the world. And I would say, some people would say this is crazy. I would say, you gotta have boots on the ground. You gotta be there, witness it, and know someone who was there. Anyway, yeah. So where are we at?
We're talking about, what does this all mean? Like, what does the insurrection mean? If the DOJ arrests him, what happens?
Yeah,
Because the scenario is unprecedented when you start bringing in the lawsuit from Utah.
Okay, here's the scenario, ladies and gentlemen. Trump gets arrested and thrown in jail. Impending trial. Time goes on. We get to January 6th. SCOTUS, Supreme Court of the United States, agrees with Brunson and gives the presidency or demands a new election. So we got a scenario where Trump's in jail.
And 388 different members of the federal government, including all of our South Dakota state representatives, John Thune, current leadership of the Senate,
Mike Rounds,
and
Dusty
Johnson.
Dusty, we want
which
to
are all
talk
Republicans.
to you, Dusty. All Republicans are going to go down. Okay, so Trump, this is the scenario. Trump gets thrown in jail and pending trial. Criminal charges, whatever happens. The Supreme Court overturns the 2020 election.
Great.
What's going to happen next?
Stick around. We don't know.
It's crazy drama, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be, if that would happen, let's just say that would happen. This is going to be a story, and maybe that won't happen. All right? For those of you who think I'm crazy, it may not happen at all. It could happen. This is a story that's going to be told forever.
Yes.
Forever.
This is like one of those pivotal points in a culture that redefines it.
Right.
You know, when Caesar marched into Rome and said,
I was going to go there. Thank you.
You know, that was a pivotal change to Roman culture and Roman society.
Yes. We're just talking a speculative scenario. This actually could happen. And then let's take it another step. They order a new election. Trump's in jail. He is running for president while in jail. I'm not even sure if you can do that. That would be a question for, I don't know how
legal
that
experts.
Yes,
if someone's out there, please share.
I don't know if that's possible. But let's just say he runs while he's in jail and gets elected president, but he's still in jail from this insurrection charge. This is a crazy situation. Now what?
Now we need to elect a different president that will pardon him, and then he can run for office again.
I'm guessing you can't run for office if you're in prison, but he has. If he's only charged and he's pending trial, I don't see how he couldn't run on top of that. But maybe there's a rule that says he can't. But here's a different scenario: Trump gets thrown in jail. Supreme Court overturned the election. Trump wins his case. Ladies and gentlemen, the world's going to go crazy.
Right.
It's like, I don't even know what to think because it's going to go nuts.
I mean, you would no longer stand in a gray world. You would have to be on one side of the line or the other. Right now, we can skirt both sides. Like, yeah, you know, we talk scenarios both ways. Trump, Biden, whatever. DeSantis in 2024, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But that would put a pivotal, okay, are you with me or are you against me?
Mm-hmm. What do you think?
This is what brings it full circle when you start talking the social media aspect of theory and speculation and truth. Because this is a true possible scenario. It hasn't happened yet.
It is because Twitter is confirming this now. Twitter's confirming it.
SCOTUS is confirming it.
SCOTUS is confirming
They're
it.
putting out on their own personal website that they're going to hear this case, that it has gone through the chains of command to be heard at the highest court in the land.
I don't know that we've ever seen a situation quite like this in this
absolutely
country.
not.
I'm not even sure if the world's seen quite a situation like this. But it is some of the best political drama I've witnessed in 30 years.
And I am so glad we get to capitalize on it because our viewers love it.
Yes. Yes, they do.
Because it's just exciting. It's terrifying, but this is in the same words, exciting to just see how well our founding fathers wrote our Constitution.
Yeah, this is a true test, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, the last time we've seen something like this, in my opinion, is Bush Gore. 2020, the hanging chads. What's going to happen? Florida. See, it was all about Florida. Florida was the key. And they gave it to Bush. Was it the right decision? The Supreme Court was involved.
Right.
They demanded that they stop recounting for, the third time? They kept recounting.
Right.
And the more they recounted, Gore gained votes.
Right.
One more time, Gore would have won, probably.
Maybe.
Maybe. And Supreme Court stopped it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is very interesting drama.
And then what is the next thing where the states can all say, you know what, the federal government is a bunch of hooey, and we're going to we're gonna band together as states, and our collective thoughts of state governors and leadership is going to override the federal.
Yeah, I believe if that happens, each state, their own what do you call it? Senate, their own Congress, right?
Yeah, their
Congress.
own House of Representatives.
Each state's own Congress can vote on a representative to go and vote who is president. And you need a majority. And right now it looks as if they all voted, the Republicans would win like 35-15.
Right. But I mean, this is the beauty of what we're talking about is you could have never said this 5 years ago and said, you know what, going into Christmas of 2022, we're going to talk about scenarios of possible different presidencies and imprisonment of past presidents just to talk about it. Mm-hmm. Like, there's lots of things to talk about in the world, and this is one of those things that really, you have to open your eyes. You have to be looking and paying attention, because if you're not, and someone else is telling you secondhand story, you do not have boots on the ground. You are not there. You've got to be here.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about a potential that could happen. It's exciting. And I'm not saying I love or hate Trump. It's just exciting.
Right.
Yeah, because we don't know what's going to happen.
No, but it gets us involved. It gets us excited. It gets us woke up to this great country that we live in.
And there's a whole nother scenario that I think we probably could talk about for just a second. What if the military is involved right now? What if the military has been paying close attention for some time now, watching these elections, and they know that it's been rigged? Let's say the military has all the data they need to step in, because I think they could. So here's another scenario. Trump gets arrested. Supreme Court of the United States throw the case out. There's no merit. And the military steps in and says, enough. We have all the evidence in the world. Then what?
On the wrong side of that, that's called a coup d'etat.
That's right.
And on the right side of it, it's called a revolution.
A revolution.
Depending what side of the winning party you're on.
So we have another scenario. I never thought about the military until just now.
Well, look at all the things that happened in D.C. right after the election. All the gates went up. We sent National Guard people to D.C. Like, it became militarized.
What the heck is going on at the Capitol? Have you seen pictures of the Capitol?
I haven't recently, no.
Well,
I was there in March.
Yeah. Did they have like a fence around?
Oh, yeah.
But a new fence.
Oh, I haven't seen the new one. I had just seen the makeshift chain link one.
Yeah, so they put up a new fence, or maybe that's the one you're talking about, and there's some kind of weird structure that I saw, and then maybe it's all fake. I don't know.
They were doing an addition out the west entrance. They were doing an addition and kind of refinishing those offices because the Senate and the Congress are both working in the Capitol building, but they were adding something to the west side, the mall side, when we were there.
Okay, so anyway, we ran out of time.
What?
Yeah, I know it.
We blew through 40 minutes?
I know. Just a couple of things to bring up. Just in case you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, I thought this was interesting because we talked about the Federal Reserve and how that was a private institution.
Do you remember when the Federal Reserve was created?
1913?
1913 by an act of Congress.
Congress.
Yeah. It's not private.
It's not private.
It's held by us people.
Well, that's weird.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
I don't know. Because we were always on the gold, and then we went off the gold, and then there's 12 banks that are part of the regulatory side of this thing.
Right. And so Representative Alex Mooney, Republican from West Virginia, and I took this off his Twitter site, said, "Today I addressed the House of the Gold Standard Restoration Act. My bill would return the United States to the gold standard.
Yep.
Protect against Washington's irresponsible spending habits," which I'm not sure how that would work, "and the creation of money out of thin air." So, ladies and gentlemen, this is bizarre that we just talked about.
I've got it right here. H.R. 9157 to define the dollar as a fixed weight of gold for other purposes. Henceforth, this bill requires the Department of the Treasury to define the Federal Reserve note dollar in terms of a fixed weight of gold based on that day's closing market price of gold. Federal Reserve banks must exchange Federal Reserve notes with gold at this price. Federal Reserve Bank does not do this. The Treasury must make an exchange and place a corresponding lien on the assets of that bank. That's the bill.
What do you think? You're a money guy.
That would be unbelievable because these 12 banks that are dictating the policy of the Federal Reserve, if they're not solvent, if they're not solid in assets, they're making their money on Wall Street where it's just kind of created, they'd be screwed. They'd be totally screwed because they wouldn't have the assets to back up what they're lending and they're borrowing.
Wow.
But so one of those fun things, Debt Clock, debtclock.org. Go check that out.
What's that?
It shows the debt per capita that you and I both are liable for the federal government as Social Security bearing persons. As long as we have a Social Security number, we're responsible for the federal debt. And you can look at the exponential way it has climbed over time.
What happens if we go back to the gold standard? I mean, seriously, what happens if this, I doubt this is going to pass. I don't know. I mean, what happens if this goes through? And this is under the Biden administration, which means it probably won't go anywhere.
But we're in a lame duck section, which means
that's true.
Which means
that's true.
We there's nothing going to happen. That's the fun thing about this. Is a great time for both parties to raise a ton of money.
Takeaways today, Dennis.
Oh my gosh. Wake up. Go watch Social Dilemma. Learn about how the social AI is learning about you. Put boots on the ground, make friends, use your social network and make friends in places where this news is happening and get it from real people. Don't take it from somebody you don't know.
Yeah, if you watch the mainstream media, fine. But double check. Are they being forthright with us? They might be, but that CBS report threw me for a loop and I'm like, whoa. And even my brother said, yeah, you're right. You can't put your trust in the mainstream media anymore.
No, and you're being manipulated. I mean, go back and look at the Social Dilemma video, and you're going to see how even your day-to-day interactions are being manipulated. If you're not awake, wake up.
Time to wake up.
What's your takeaway?
Coup d'etat.
Coup d'etat.
I cannot believe that's a possible scenario, but it always has been. You could have a coup d'etat anytime, but when we use the words coup d'etat, you think about Cuba. You think about these other third world countries. You don't think about America. And again, I would say it's a 1,000,001 shot. But like the great movie that we have all watched with Jim Carrey when he's trying to ask out that pretty brunette, and he asked her, do I have a chance? What would be the chance you would date me? And she said, 1 in a million. And he says, so I've
Got a chance.
You never, ever really know what's going to happen.
That's right.
That's why it's news. So these are crazy times.
They are.
That's all I got.
Hey, Merry Christmas to all of our viewers and followers.
God bless you all. May God, go ahead.
Yeah, that's it.
May God strengthen
The bars
of your gates. Take care.
Amen.
Hey, thanks for listening to the Glen Gauer podcast, sponsored by Mission Blueprint. Mission Blueprint is a nonprofit ministry started by Glen and Jamie to sanctify the family. Our income is donation-based, and we need your help. Please support us financially by going to www.mission-blueprint.org and be a part of our financial team. Thank you, and may God strengthen the bars of your gate.